And we're back. Wow. Now in 3D with Kevin. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we're
the horror guys.
We are. And this is episode 59.
59.
That's a lot of episodes.
It is a lot of episodes.
But not all the episodes, because we haven't gone through all the horror movies yet.
Well, we keep trying to catch up, but they keep making more. So,
yeah.
Yeah. What can you do? Watch more.
Watch more, yeah.
Yep.
Well, this week we're going to be discussing some great, goodest,
best
modern horror. And we're going to focus on
dolls.
Killer dolls.
Dolls this week. This is Doll Week.
We've got Annabelle from 2015, Annabelle Creation from 2017, Annabelle Comes Home from 2019, also Child's Play, the remake from 2019, and a short called The Dollmaker from 2019.
So, dolls.
Dolls. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Let's talk about dolls. Should have brought a doll to play with while we're doing this. Yeah. Don't actually have any dolls. Yeah.
Well, we got enough dolls for everybody this week, starting with
Annabelle 2014, a spin-off from The Conjuring.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
You like it?
No.
I think, but just from the we don't really discuss these too much before we talk about them, but just from the grunts, the groans between us, I think we're probably unanimous on all 5 of these. We're going to agree on all of them.
We are?
Yeah, this was certainly the weakest movie we saw this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Annabelle movies got better as they went along.
Not the typical way it's done.
Usually
but this time, yes.
get weaker, I think, typically, but yeah, this first one was Dollsville.
I don't know why they made more after this.
People saw it, liked it, they made money. That's the trouble. People go to see these things, and that encourages them to make more.
It's a cheap date movie to take your cheap date to.
Mm.
Well, this one's directed by John R. Leonetti, written by Gary Dauberman, stars Ward Horton, Annabelle Wallis, and Alfred Woodward. 1 hour, 39 minutes. Amazon link in the show notes, as always. All right, well, we start in some kind of group session, or at least that's the way it looks, where a woman is talking about a doll that was possessed. The camera then pulls back to show us that creepy doll. Credits roll. Kind of a lame opening credit sequence even. Nothing happened. There's a creepy doll.
Yep.
Well, we knew that from the poster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a young married couple, Mia and John, and their older neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Higgins, come home from church. They see a news report about the Manson family, so we know this happened in the 70s. She's expecting a baby, and he's a young doctor-to-be about to start his residency. They have a little fight, and to make up for it, he gets her a gift. They open the box, and inside is the ugliest doll ever made.
And she's just thrilled.
She's been looking for it for years.
Because it's super rare and collectible.
Which, when you get into the Annabelle Creation movie, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because it's not like some famous factory or series or anything. It's just...
Well, it was a limited edition, 1 of 100, though. It was number 1 of 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that night we see...
Handmade. Yeah, they showed
definitely
that.
handmade.
Yeah.
That night we see through the window that someone kills the neighbors, and it's not a doll. John goes over to investigate when Mia hears a scream. John comes out covered in blood, and Mia calls 911. It looks like and we were wondering, because this happens in the 70s, did they even have 911 in the 70s?
They did.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah, they really did.
Yep.
It looks like someone followed her inside the house. Mia hears a crazy woman whispering, "I like your dolls," when a crazy man stabs her in the pregnant belly. There's a struggle, and the police break in and kill the invaders.
And at this point, it really is just craziness. They don't no supernatural, no dolls.
Just crazy people. They're cultists. Mm-hmm. Blood drips from the crazy woman onto the Annabelle doll. Turns out, the crazy woman's name turned out to be
Annabelle.
Coincidence? I think not.
No, and later in the sequels we found out how much of it.
Not much is a coincidence with us.
Yeah.
Mia doesn't lose the baby, but she's very shaken up when she comes back home. The electric sewing machine turns on all by itself in the middle of the night, and for some reason the doll has moved from her earlier position.
And I thought that was the most suspenseful part of the movie, was watching her sew close up with her fingers
by the needles.
And she wasn't always paying attention, watching television, and she's gonna sew her finger.
And at some point she does.
But it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
Mia gets creeped out by the doll, so John puts the doll in the garbage can. The house burns down and the baby is born. Just like that.
Yeah. Well, you didn't tell what happened with the crazy girl, did you? With the dying with the
and
doll.
she bled on the doll.
She bled on the doll.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. That's
Oh,
important.
Yeah, later on, something happens. What happened? Why did the house burn down?
Because the
she left the Jiffy Pop
stove,
on.
The stove came on by itself, and Jiffy Pop was sitting on the stove.
Did it come on by itself? I thought she just forgot it.
No.
I thought it was her fault.
No, supernatural things were kicking in by then.
All right.
No, the stove, all 4 burners turned on high by themselves. And there was Jiffy Pop sitting on the stove, which exploded and popped and burned and, caught the kitchen on fire.
Okay. Well, Mia eventually gets around to unpacking her doll collection in the new house, and guess who's in one of the boxes?
Despite him throwing it away,
this time, Mia decides to keep Annabelle. Mia meets a weird woman who owns a bookstore and some weird kids who draw a picture of the baby getting run over by a truck. Mia soon starts seeing creepy little girls and even creepier grown-up girls. John suspects postpartum mental issues. She has a foot chase in the stairwell running from a demon in the dark, which was a pretty good sequence. Then she learns more about the cultists. The bookstore owner helps her research the ghosts. The house is not haunted since they now have a new house. It's not the house they started in. It must be something else, something that the cult must have summoned. She comes to the conclusion that the demon, or maybe the devil himself, wants her baby. Mia, whose last name is not Pharaoh, is having a baby that the devil wants. Coincidence? You decide. They give the evil doll to the local priest, who doesn't even make it back to church before running into trouble.
Yeah, that doesn't go so well.
Yeah. The bookstore lady comes over to help, but gets thrown down the stairs by the demon, and that leaves Mia versus Annabelle. Mia decides that by jumping off the roof, she can give up her own soul and save the baby. John and the bookstore lady come in and save her, but the bookstore lady decides to jump in her place holding the doll. This is a fair trade because the bookstore lady doesn't even have a name, but we know her daughter died many years ago, and somehow that makes it okay that she dies. When Mia and John look down at her body, the doll is already gone. Did she even have a name?
I'm sure she did.
Not that we can tell.
I didn't make a note of it, but she must have.
All right. Yeah. Well, 6 months later, bookstore lady.
And all that makes it sound kind of good. Your description.
It's just way too drawn out.
Way drawn out.
Yeah, not that interesting. Not that suspenseful.
It's not that suspenseful. It's not that scary. It's not really gory. It's not really nothing. I mean, the effects were good and the acting was good.
Well, I made the Rosemary's Baby comparison there.
Yeah.
And I'll make that same comparison here. It was slow and boring. People consider Rosemary's Baby a great classic. I think it is one of the most boring horror movies ever.
No, Rosemary's Baby is not boring. See, they managed. There's a subtle difference there. I don't know. Filmmaking.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, 6 months later.
This is no Rosemary's Baby.
No. 6 months later, we see an old lady going into an antique store and buying the Annabelle doll. And there's an after-credit scene. In the Abbey in Carpathia, 1952, we see Valak return home just in time for the film The Nun. Since the film Annabelle comes after The Nun, this scene makes no real sense. We have a flashback to another time that has nothing to do with the doll.
But it's in the Conjuring universe, so,
All right.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, there's a lot of loud jump scares in this, which are really annoying and not really that scary. They're just the suddenly loud kind. The children on the stairs who refuse to talk about where they live or who their parents are while drawing pictures of the baby's demise are completely forgotten about, a loose end that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
It's mentioned that the baby couldn't offer up his own soul, so I figured I had John the Doctor pegged as the bad guy the guy who offered up his own baby.
No, you're thinking Rosemary's Baby.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, yeah.
It was no Rosemary's Baby.
Anyway, I figured that out about the time the priest died, but that also went nowhere.
The priest didn't die. He just got banged up.
Well, okay, he got banged up. But nobody actually... They made a big thing that the baby can't give up his own soul. Somebody else had to bring the demon in. Nobody did.
Yeah.
I think John was meant to, and they changed their mind at the last minute because it was too Rosemary-ish.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, the movie went from a boring first hour to a predictable second hour. I guess it made money, or they wouldn't have made 2 sequels, but it's a long way from what I'd call good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of mediocre.
Yeah, you got to watch it in order to make sense of the other 2. So, yeah, I guess I recommend it, but you're not going to enjoy it.
And it's the whole Conjuring thing, you know. You got to get the whole Conjuring package. Yeah.
Well, next up is the sequel to that. 2 years later, they had Annabelle Creation, a prequel to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by David Sandberg, written by Gary Doberman, and stars Anthony LaPaglia, Samara Lee, Miranda Otto, hour and 49 minutes. And did you like this one?
Better.
It was
better. It better, yeah.
I think maybe this was better than the other 2. This might have been the best of the 3. Although I would I would accept an argument for the third one. Yeah.
I thought the third one was very clever, how it tied it all together.
Yeah. Unless there's going to be a fourth one.
Now, I haven't mentioned that there is a real Annabelle doll in the real world.
Based on a true story.
Inspired by true events. Well, maybe not quite. But the real one is a Raggedy Ann doll. And they probably didn't, maybe they had some royalty issues using a Raggedy Ann.
Could be.
Or this is creepier.
This is way creepier.
Yeah, Raggedy Ann is pretty soft and cuddly and innocuous, and this is creepier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, there's a possessed doll that they have locked in the case, and they never let it out, and they have a priest come in like every couple weeks, or every week, or was it twice a week, or
often.
Yeah, to bless the room where all these cursed objects are kept, that they're keeping them locked up and safe.
Which we'll see more of in the third movie.
Yeah.
Well, we start out with scenes inside a dollmaker's workshop as he assembles a doll.
The Mullins Toy Company.
It is, and the doll is Annabelle. The dollmaker stops to play hide-and-seek with his daughter when she leaves him a note saying, "Find me."
Little handwritten crayon notes.
Little notes.
Which are important because they pop up again later.
On the way home from church the next day, the daughter, whose name is Bee, is hit by a car and killed. Credits roll. 12 years later, 6 young girls are in the back of a car moving to a new orphanage. The Mullins have turned their home into an orphanage. These 6 girls and their nun guardian, Sister Charlotte, are going to be staying at the Mullins place, and the driver mentions that Mrs. Mullins was involved in an accident years ago. There's even a stair lift for Janice, the little girl who is recovering from polio. We quickly learn that Bee's room is always kept locked. Janice remains behind while the others go off exploring, and she's left alone in her room when we see Bee's ghost in there with her. That night, Janice finds a note on the floor. "Find me." The notes lead to the locked door. She goes inside because it's not locked, and finds a little girl's room complete with a very elaborate dollhouse. Inside the closet, she finds the Annabelle doll, and some weirdness goes on. Linda, one of the other girls, is playing hide-and-seek later and winds up under the stairs where she sees Annabelle. Some of the girls think they see Mrs. Mullins, but her husband says Mrs. Mullins hadn't been able to walk for years. Bee wants Janice's soul. At least this demon starts looking out like Bee. While everyone's asleep, the demon chases Janice around the house.
There's lots of chasing.
And she's like the polio girl with the leg brace, and it's like the slowest speed chase you've ever seen. And almost funny. The demon injures her, and she winds up in a wheelchair now, maybe permanently. Mr. and Mrs. Mullins start to wonder if the trouble is starting up again.
The trouble.
The trouble. Linda encounters the doll and the demon, but they seem to ignore her. Valak, the evil nun, torments Janice in the barn some more and finally pukes in her mouth.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Linda tells Mr. Mullins that what Janice saw in Bee's bedroom, and he freaks out and goes into the room. He's very quickly and painfully killed. And that scene, I think, is the best in the movie.
Yeah.
It's cringeworthy.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Linda then drops the doll in the old well, and the demon tries to pull her in too, but Sister Charlotte rescues her. They both run inside, where the doll is still there waiting for them. Mrs. Mullins finally explains to the sister that she and Mr. Mullins made a deal with the demon to bring back their daughter Bee, whose real name was Annabelle. B for Annabelle. It took advantage of them and clawed Mrs. Mullins' eyes out.
Just one eye.
Just not a fair deal.
Yeah. And she finally sees her face. You finally see
she
her
wears
face
a mask.
and it's a big old gouge, like, gouged out half her face. Yeah.
They put the demon in the doll and locked it away in that closet, but apparently not forever. Not long after, they find Mrs. Mullen's top half nailed to the wall. We don't know what happened to her bottom half. Slice. Various characters get chased around the house and grounds by various creatures for a while, until Sister Charlotte shoves Janice and the doll into the closet, where the doll was meant to be locked up. They all run outside as the house shakes apart. The police come and they open up the secret room. They find only the doll and a hole in the wall. The next day, the priest comes out with the doll and says, it's fine now, I've blessed it.
Oh, better.
He offers it to the girls, but surprisingly none of them want the creepy thing, so he takes it with him. You want this? Yeah, this ugly doll. Sometime later, Mr. and Mrs. Higgins, the neighbors from the previous movie, go to the orphanage and adopt Linda, who now calls herself Annabelle.
This was the possessed girl.
The one who went into the closet with the doll and got out through the hole in the wall, wound up in a different orphanage and got
Ran
adopted
away.
by the
Just
Higginses.
Yeah.
12 years later, we see the murder scene from the other movie from their point of view. And it was Linda, now called Annabelle, who was the crazy cultist woman in the first film. Full circle. Well, the first Annabelle...
And that's how the demon gets back in the doll. Because it wasn't Linda. And
then
when she dies... and
quite a
grips,
coincidence that the doll wound up right next door.
I don't think it's a coincidence. Dark forces were at work.
Puppet masters. The first Annabelle movie was slow and pretty bland, but this one was much improved.
Yes, much.
The best effect was when Mr. Mullen's hand was broken. The ending tied right in with the other Annabelle film, but this one happened first of all the Annabelle movies, so this is actually a pretty good standalone film. If you want to watch this one before the other one, that might even be better. It's not the first Conjuring film, as The Nun takes place in 1952.
Yeah, timeline-wise.
Yeah.
The Nun is the first one so far. They're making more next.
They are.
This year and next year there should be more coming out. Conjuring movies.
But we've had enough Annabelle forever, right?
Oh, I'm sure that she's gone forever.
Oh, look, it's Annabelle Comes Home from 2019.
Oh, wait, she's back already.
Already, that didn't take long. Directed by Gary Doberman, written by James Wan and Gary Doberman, stars Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, McKenna Grace, hour 46 minutes. Did you like this one?
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I now that you brought it up, I think I did like this one best.
Yeah.
Third is the winner.
They each get better. Yeah.
Probably because it's not so much about the doll. It's about other things.
Yeah.
Well, the couple from the Conjuring movies explains that the Annabelle doll was never really possessed. Rather, it was a conduit for other demonic entities. It cannot be destroyed. So they put it in the car and drive for a long ways. The police say they need to turn around as there's an accident ahead on the road. They miss their turn, and of course, the car stalls in the misty, isolated Deathlands, right in front of the Maryville Cemetery. And of course, it's all dark and foggy, full moon. Ed gets out to work on the car while Lorraine sits inside. You know what's gonna happen.
Well, it was less than what I expected.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Soon she hears, "I like your doll." Soon after, she sees the dead standing around everywhere. "It's the doll, Ed. It's a beacon for other spirits," she explains.
And the girl in the back seat was one of the victims of that car accident that they just passed. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because she was trying to explain to her that, you were in an accident, you just died. Trying to explain to her.
Okay.
She didn't. The girl in the back seat, I don't think even realized.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They get back in the car and drive home as if this was the most normal thing in the world. Clearly, these two have seen a lot.
They're spiritualists.
Yeah, it's just another day for them.
Spiritual specialists.
So you're expecting them to get killed and before the credits and all that. No, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
They eventually make it home unscathed. They set Annabelle down in a rocking chair, and their priest says a prayer over the doll and sprays holy water on it. Then they put Annabelle and the chair inside a display case made of glass from a church window. "The evil is contained," says Lorraine. Now the credits roll.
Short movie.
Yep, all in.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing else happens.
Yep.
1 year later, Ed and Lorraine go out of town for a conference or something and leave daughter Judy in the hands of a babysitter, Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen's friend Daniela wants to come over and have some fun because their house is sort of like a museum of weird artifacts.
Or rumor has it.
everybody in town knows that these people are weird.
Yeah, have a word collection and they're spiritualists. And yeah.
All of Judy's friends think she's weird because of the ghosts and demons and demonic stuff. Daniela comes over anyway, and she wants to see some creepy stuff.
Well, it's all locked away in a room, though.
Yeah.
Daniela can't get to it. No movie. Yeah.
Except Daniela has come prepared. She gives Judy roller skates for her birthday, and naturally Judy wants to go outside and try them, leaving Daniela in the house alone. She finds the keys, unlocks the heavily bolted door, and goes inside. She tries to contact her dead father, but nothing happens. She sees Annabelle in the glass display case fall over, and she opens up the door to straighten her back up.
And I tried to tell her, don't do it.
There's a great big sign, do not open.
Never.
She
Under any
opens.
circumstances. She opens it.
Well, suddenly the alarm goes off. The cake in the kitchen is burning. She shuts the display case door, but doesn't relock it. Annabelle then falls out onto the floor.
Oops.
Oops.
Oops. The evil is no longer contained.
Yeah. Mary Ellen answers the door, and it's B from the earlier movie. She wants to play with Annabelle. Judy comes inside and sees Annabelle sitting in a chair. Then she's gone when she looks a second time. She then is attacked by the ghost of a bloody bride with a knife. Soon after, the trio gathers together and reads the Warrens' records, which allows for some exposition and explanation. Boyfriend Bob stops over and serenades them from the front yard, but he's almost immediately chased off by a hellhound.
It's very foggy, though.
London Fall werewolves, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Daniela leaves for the night, but sneaks back to revisit the museum all alone. She puts her father's picture in the magic locket and calls her father again, this time more effectively.
Well, and this time, too, the door opens all by itself, unlocks by itself.
It lets her in.
She doesn't have to, because things are activated now and awake now. And,
yeah.
The first time she asked, if there's any spirits in that room, unlock, before she could find the keys, open this door for me. They didn't. Well, later it does.
They do, yes.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen goes in to tuck Judy in for the night and finds Annabelle in bed next to her. She's never seen the doll before, so she doesn't think much of it. Meanwhile, Daniela is locked in the basement with her dead father's ghost, and all the various cursed artifacts, many of which have activated, are doing their things.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Ellen heads downstairs to the Warrens' office, and weird stuff is happening down there, too.
It was a little bit reminiscent, I think you mentioned it too, the Friday the 13th, the series, where they had the cursed artifacts that they were collecting and trying to round back up. And trying to keep locked up and under control. That's what it started seeming like. All these different things, a cursed typewriter and lamps and a dress.
Same kind of stuff. Yeah.
Television, all these,
Yeah, the lights go out and Mary Ellen keeps seeing coins on the floor. The ferryman has come for her. Mm-hmm. Upstairs, Valak and Annabelle start working on Judy. They soon see the hellhound outside and realize that they can't leave. They head down to the basement and finally find Daniela down there. Annabelle wants a soul. Daniela confesses starting all of this, and then she's stabbed by the bloody bride immediately after, but not really. There's a lot of running, screaming, and haunting until the three girls put Annabelle back in the display case. Bob runs inside, planning to save them after everything is resolved. And we saw Bob dead earlier.
No,
it was just an illusion, I guess.
Yeah, he got away from
he had coins on his eyes in the corner.
Yeah.
He was there.
Oh, yeah, but that was an illusion.
Yeah.
Demon trick.
The next morning, Ed and Lorraine return. Everyone comes to Judy's birthday party. No one died, and it was all just a creepy evening for the group. Body count, 0.
Pretty amazing.
Well, I said early on when we were watching that this sounded like the premise of the Friday the 13th TV series with the cursed objects, and I was more right than I expected. I didn't expect we'd see so many of the artifacts in action. Now, if you haven't seen the Friday the 13th series, it came on in the 80s or maybe 90s on one of those Fox stations or something. And it's about this evil uncle who ran an antique store. He died and left the antique store to his niece and nephew, I guess they were, or something like that. And how did they say? I guess he'd been selling these artifacts for years and years.
They were cursed objects.
Yeah. Each one of them had a curse that would do something bad to the owner. So the point of the story was each week they'd go out and find one of these objects and try to retrieve
Hunt them down and then lock them up. keep them under control. Yeah.
And each, of course, every time it was, like you said, a haunted typewriter, or a cursed TV, or something
cursed
like
radio. I like this. I liked my favorite one was the psychiatrist that got the radio.
What did it do?
It was telling him, it was giving him brilliant insights on impossible cases, but in exchange he would have to leave it in a patient's room, and the radio would kill a patient. So it was a trade-off. He was.
If this sounds like a fun series, we've got a link for it in the show notes. Take you to Amazon. You can pick that one up, and we get a little affiliate link. So it's a really good series.
Yeah, I'd enjoy
but
seeing
anyway,
that again.
The film series could really go in 100 different directions after this film. Any of those objects could be a movie in itself. The Ferryman, the Bloody Bride, and the Hellhound were all very creepy and looked really good. Annabelle herself didn't do very much this time around. She was busy delegating to the new monsters.
Yeah, it wasn't as much about Annabelle this time.
Yeah.
No.
As explained in the first scene, Annabelle is really just a conduit for other demons, not a monster in herself, like Chucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd say those 3 movies, they get better as they go along.
Yeah, they do. Watch them in order, but see all 3, and
Actually, I'm not sure that those first 2 you have to watch in order. You could watch 2, 1, 3.
No.
3 should come last.
Don't do that.
Okay, watch them the way they were intended.
Yeah.
Well, we saw a short too, didn't we?
We did.
What was it?
The Dollmaker.
Figure that one out.
Nobody ever asks for a refund. Nobody ever asks for their money back.
Directed by Al Lauer, written by Matthias Caruso, stars Perry Lauren, Sean Meehan, and Dan Berkey. 9 minutes.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
Thought this one was pretty great.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
There's a dead child. Is that a spoiler? No,
You
that's
find
the,
that
that's
out
the
right
opening
at the
scene.
beginning. So yeah.
The Dollmaker asked for his requirements, a lock of hair and something the child cherished. He's made a doll of the dead boy. The father thinks this is a stupid idea, but the mother wants to believe. She picks up the doll, and it seems very much alive to her. It still creeps out the father. Inside the house, it's a real boy. Outside the house, it's just a doll. Just one morning, the Dollmaker says, there's only one rule. Don't spend more than 1 turn of the hourglass with him ever. After that, he has to go back in his box for 24 hours. Don't ever spend more time with him than that hourglass will allow. And we all know what's going to happen, and of course it does.
But
there's more to it than
there's
that.
more to it than that. Yeah.
It's well acted and well directed, looks great, and that Dollmaker couldn't be any creepier if he tried.
Yeah, he was perfect for that role.
Everything the Dollmaker says is true, of course, but there's a twist, and it's actually still pretty unexpected here. It's a really good little short.
Yeah, it was.
Speaking of really good little shorts,
Little short things.
Chucky.
Child's Play.
The new Child's Play. The
Child's
sort
Play,
of, not, I want to say
2019.
remake, but it's more of a reboot from 2019.
It really is a reboot. Yeah.
What'd you think? I know you were looking forward to it.
Well, I was surprised and almost initially disappointed because it's not supernatural. It's not supernatural. It's
You were
just,
almost disappointed.
yeah, because
I'll go with I'll skip the almost part.
okay,
I thought it was disappointing.
yeah, they're assembling the dolls overseas, and some disgruntled employee basically removes the safety protocols from these super advanced AI dolls that they're making. This Chucky line, they're robotic, animated little robots, and he takes off the safety protocols.
Meaning that the factory knew that these things were really dangerous in order to put those safety protocols in the first place.
And that's all there is to it. It's that easy. There's no supernatural at all. You know,
No,
it's just technology.
It's a crazy robot movie.
It's horror still, but it's the horror of technology.
Yeah.
It's the internet of horror. The internet, the internet of things. The internet of deadly things.
Directed by Lars Klevberg, written by Tyler Burton Smith and Don Mancini, stars Tim Matheson, Ben Andrusko-Dayan, and Zara Anderson. Runtime 1 hour 30 minutes.
But I got over my initial disappointment and ended up liking it quite a bit.
It was all right for a killer robot movie, but it wasn't Child's Play.
It wasn't Child's Play. No.
We start out watching a commercial for Kazlan's new product called Buddy. Buddy is a new toy that also ties in with your personal assistant. You can, say, hey, What is it?
Hey,
Hey
buddy.
Caslan.
Oh,
Turn on the
hey,
lights. Hey
Caslan.
Caslan. What is
Yeah.
the temperature?
Uh-huh.
And you know who that's.
Turn on the television. Yeah. All your internet connected devices. Cars.
Yeah.
And it's science fiction. The technology is way past where we're at currently. I mean,
Mostly.
you fantasize about this level of technology, but we're not there yet.
Well, the toy ties in with your personal assistant. He's got a self-learning routines and adapts to your daily routine. We then cut away to the actual Caslan factory in Vietnam. A line worker gets slapped by his boss for daydreaming, and it didn't have subtitles in the version we saw, so I think he probably said, "Finish this doll and you're fired."
Mm-hmm.
So he removes all the safety protocols on the buddy doll he's working on. He then smiles as he packs it into a box, and then he jumps off the roof to his death. I don't think Vietnamese people are that dedicated. That's a Japanese thing, isn't it?
Some of them are.
I don't think it's even that much, so much anymore.
Yeah. But,
well, we move to Karen, who works at Zedmart, which sells the buddy dolls. Her son Andy has a hearing aid, and he's got issues beyond that. Karen picks up a returned buddy doll for Andy. It's supposed to be defective, but hey, it's free.
Yeah, she said, well, it didn't work right, and the eyes were flashing red, and we don't like it, and so they took it back.
I'll take it home for my kid. He needs a defective doll.
Yeah, she talks the guy who's in charge of returns. So what happens to these? They just get sent back to the factory, don't they? And he's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And, well, what do they do then? Oh, they'll probably just throw it away. I said, well, why don't I just take it then?
Yeah, what could go wrong?
So she gets a slightly defective, slightly used buddy doll.
Yeah, Detective Mike introduces himself to Andy and Karen as he visits his mother down the hall. Andy turns on the doll and it imprints on him. The doll's name is Chucky, and his blue eyes flicker red sometimes.
Well, and it's funny too. He's very glitchy. Something's off with him, but the doll asks Andy what's his name, and Andy says, and the doll says, "What's my name?" And Andy says, "Han Solo," and the doll says, "Oh, Chucky. I like that name."
Yeah, that's
Chucky sounds a lot like Han Solo.
Pretty close. Yeah, pretty close.
But he's very twitchy and glitchy, and he's not right at first, especially. And yeah.
He connects to the cloud and downloads his knowledge, but he's very glitchy. Andy whines about Karen's new boyfriend, and Chucky listens carefully.
He's always listening carefully and watching.
He listens to everything.
Yeah.
The two actually do begin to bond with each other. The cat scratches Andy in front of Chucky, and Chucky's eyes glow red, and he tries to strangle the cat, but Andy interrupts him. It's clear to Andy that Chucky doesn't have to play by the normal rules.
Well, he's just protecting his friend.
Yeah.
You hurt my friend. Kill the cat.
Andy makes a few friends, and they teach Chucky how to creep out the mom's boyfriend, Shane. Then they make him steal candy. Then they watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 movie on TV.
And Chucky learns.
Chucky learns from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Chucky grabs a knife to scare the friends, and Andy doesn't react well to that. Karen then locks Chucky in the closet. Andy comes home from school and finds that Chucky has killed the cat in a puddle of blood. Andy tells Karen that the cat just got out. Shane confronts Andy about not liking him, and he's not very nice about it. Chucky sees the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Chucky's eyes glow red, and he hops in the back of Shane's truck. We see that Shane is...
Guess who's married?
Yeah, Shane is.
The boyfriend.
And he's cheating on his family with Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Shane doesn't last long after
no
that.
Idea.
And yes, he suffers tremendously.
That's a pretty gruesome, gory scene, and yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
If you like gore, this movie's got some. Yeah.
Actually, this would be the big scene, probably.
Yeah, for gore-wise, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Andy finds Shane's gift-wrap head the next morning and has to get it out of the house.
Not his head, it's just his face.
His face over
like Leatherface, because he saw what Leatherface did with the holding up the face like a mask, and that's what Chucky did to Shane.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of severed head hijinks as Karen gives the gift-wrapped face to Detective Mike's mother as a gift. Don't open it till next week.
It's complicated how that happens, but yeah.
It works and it makes
trying
sense.
To cover it up, and
Andy and his friends tackle Chucky and pull out his battery. He's dead.
Well, they do more than they smash his central thing too. Yeah, they do more than take the battery out.
They wrap up his body and throw him into the garbage chute. The maintenance man finds Chucky in the garbage chute and fixes him. The maintenance man
bad
has
move.
video cameras in Karen's bathroom and various other apartments in the building.
And they're a Kazlan system.
Of course they are.
And guess who can tie into Kazlan systems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the maintenance man is watching Karen undress, so he doesn't see Chucky get up. He doesn't see very much after that at all.
Yeah. Another gruesome end.
Yeah. Another kid in the building finds a buddy doll and names him Chode. Andy knows it's really Chucky, but he can't do anything about it because the other kid's bigger than he is.
Well, he doesn't at first, though. But it's actually clever how Chucky did that, because the maintenance guy had an empty box. He was planning on fixing up the doll,
eBay.
putting it in this box that he'd found and just eBaying it. And, well, the kids think that Chucky's been destroyed, so he fakes himself as a new doll again.
Yeah.
Yeah, puts him on a doorstep in another kid's house or apartment. Yeah.
Well, Andy watches through the Buddy app on his phone as Chucky grabs a knife and leaves. Chucky then kills Detective Mike's mother in a self-driving car when he takes over control. It's a Kazlan car.
car. Yeah.
Andy tells Karen everything, and she thinks he's crazy. Chucky broadcasts onto the TV a recording of Andy's friends doubting his sanity as well.
Yeah, in the store. He taps into the system.
Yeah. Karen makes Andy come to work with her on the opening day sale for the new Buddy 2 doll release.
And there's different,
hundreds of them.
Yeah, besides being more advanced Buddy models, there's a bear model and some other variations
different ones
too.
Look different.
Yeah, little robots.
Shane's severed head is finally found, and Mike recognizes the gift wrap. He's seen that gift before. He knows Andy is involved now. He grabs Andy and cuffs him. Meanwhile, things start going really wrong in the store as Chucky activates all the cloud-connected Kazlan toys, including the new Buddy dolls. He talks to Andy through his hearing aid. Before long, it's just Andy and Chucky in the store with Karen as a hostage.
What was awesome with the Kazlan drones, the drones with the quadruped propellers, he loaded up all the propellers with knife blades before he launched them and then soared through the crowd chasing people. Yeah, it's a pretty bloody movie. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if this CGI doll is better than the original, but it's kind of good in its own way.
It was a lot of puppetry, though.
Was there puppetry in this? Was there any puppetry in this one, or wasn't it all CGI?
No, there was definitely some puppetry.
Okay.
You can tell. Yeah.
It
was a
seemed
mix,
far more mechanical, real than the other one.
Yeah, more, well, because he's a little robot.
Yeah.
He's not a soft, squishy doll that's been animated. Yeah, he's literally a robot, but yeah.
Not convinced.
Yeah.
Well, his ability to control electronic devices is an interesting addition, but it also makes him a little too powerful, I thought. With the ability to do a simple cloud upload, they're ready set for an endless number of sequels.
Yeah.
You literally cannot kill him.
End up, destroying him, but if he's uploaded to the cloud, yeah. And Kazlan, there's a final message from Mr. Kazlan himself saying that we accept no responsibility for the events, but rest assured that all the Buddy 2s and all the future toys are perfectly safe. And so, they're just setting themselves up for a sequel.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, there's no supernatural element, no dead serial killer, and a lot less humor.
Yeah.
There's some.
Grimmer. A lot grimmer.
This is pretty much the same as any other robot apocalypse film. It's entertaining and worth a watch, but it's really not a great reboot of the franchise. I like the old Chucky.
I think I do too. I liked that.
I don't regret watching it, but it was not. I would
not what I
rather
expected.
have seen a real Chucky movie.
Not what I expected. I was expecting a supernatural combination of.
I did see where there's going to be a Sci-Fi Channel is going to make a Chucky series with Brad Dourif.
Oh, neat.
Or at least they're assuming that it's him. It's Don Mancini is the original creator of Chucky and made all the other movies. He's doing the TV series on Sci-Fi.
Okay.
I think that was just announced today or yesterday, so it's recent news. They don't have all the details yet.
Oh, groovy.
But yeah, that should be a good one.
Yeah.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at our website for news and horror updates to comment on this podcast or to contact us. Get ready for next week where we'll be watching. Hey, you see these movies I got right here?
Huh, yeah.
Let's do something else.
Like what?
Let's watch The Conjuring.
Uh-huh.
The Conjuring 2.
Uh-huh.
And the only Conjuring movie we haven't done so far is The Curse of La Llorona.
Uh-huh.
And we'll
be caught up on the Conjuring universe.
We'll see all the Conjurings on the show. And we'll pick out a fourth movie to be determined.
And we'll be ready for those new Conjuring
Actually,
movies that are coming
I
up.
think I already know what the new movie is going to be. It's a Frankenstein film.
Okay.
A brand new Frankenstein film. It's an anthology.
Okay.
So that sounds pretty cool.
That somebody sent to us, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
It's a new one.
Yeah.
New indie film.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's us.
that's us. The
That's
Horror
the show.
Guys. We'll see you next week.